All right, everybody, welcome back to the FTLG Marathon, benefiting Haven's Hospice. In the last run, we hit 3,300 pounds. Can we make that 3,400? Now, our next run, we have Struggling, run by Sparky McCalc, and joined by one of the devs. Sparky, if you want to take it away.
Yeah. So obviously you guys can see me here, but throughout this run, you will be hearing the lovely, lovely voice of one of the struggling developer, our very own Dennis. So Dennis, if you want to just say hi and say what your your primary role in creating this game was for everybody, and then we'll jump right in.
Yeah, of course. Hi everyone, I'm Dennis. I am art director and also a voice actor in the game. I do design. Basically, we were a small team, so I did a lot of things in the game. And I cannot wait to see this run.
Well, Dennis has been around for a few runs in the past, and so we're gonna have a good time here. I hope you guys are all ready for some weirdness, some funness, and some good times overall. So we'll jump right in here. So Hammerhead, I will give you a countdown to start the timer, but it's going to start when I hit start to play, and then we're off to the races. So if you're ready to go, I'll give you a countdown, and then we'll go right in.
All right, I'm ready whenever you are.
All right, so here we go in 3, 2, 1, go. So I usually will explain the very basic, story of this game to everybody, but I often do a really poor job. So if Dennis, if you don't mind, I'm gonna give you the job of kind of explaining the very as well and brief as you can the kind of basic premise of this game and what exactly is going on story wise. And I'll just let the people kind of observe what's going on with the movement, and then I'll get into explaining kind of the basics of everything there.
Yeah, that's fair. So basically, the story of Struggling is very simple. You are Troy, this two-headed abomination thing, and you are trying to escape, and you are trying to go on a pilgrimage. You're going to meet some other abominations, which are definitely more threatening than you are. And you're going to do all of this while hitting your face on numerous things. And it's not going to be a good time for you, but it's going to be a good time for the player at least. So that's basically the gist of it.
Yeah, so like Dennis said, it is not a good time for Troy. He was supposed to be the savior of everything, and he turned into this non-threatening abomination. And again, like Dennis said, we will encounter more abominations along the way who would make for much better formidable opponents to really anybody than our good friend Troy here. And Troy is made up of two separate characters combined into one, Hector and Achilles. And Dennis, I believe you voice both of the characters, right?
I've voiced Achilles only.
Okay.
Hector is a bit out of my voice range, I guess. Well, not really. It's more that other devs were more fitting for the voice.
Gotcha.
Hector has this cow-like sound that he does a lot, which I cannot do for the life of me. I can see that you are really going through this one quickly. The game is divided in 4 parts. There's the lab, there is the cave, the canyon, and then there is the final buzz level, which you are going to see eventually. The lab itself is more of a tutorial, I guess, which is why Sparky is going through it so fast. Yeah, it's fun to take a look at what you can do here.
I think Alexis commented one time that he's still amazed that I can beat the entire lab section in under 7 minutes.
Oh yes, definitely. I mean, we've had good times as devs, like maybe around 10 minutes, but 7 is unheard of. Well, apart from you, I guess.
So yeah, there's some things in this game where we do things kind of unintentionally, breaking the game. But something like that is something something that that the developers included as a kind of Easter egg trick, I guess. So what we did there was, rather than like riding the elevator up very slowly, there's a secret hat. Hats are a big secret in this game. Rather than riding it up and finding that secret hat, we just push the elevator button one too many times and just fly straight up. So there's going to be a few things like that where what we would normally get when I go into a place would be like something like a secret hat that we're just going to use to our advantage to skip over places. But the majority of this run is going fast is really just not dying. I was just talking to Dennis before we got going, and he said he was asking me if I had improved my PB since he last knew it of about a 54 minutes, and I said no, and he said, yeah, you'd need a pretty flawless run, and I said, you are absolutely right. Basically, the secret is just to not die in this game, which is a lot easier said than done.
Of course. I mean, it's a physics-based game, so some things can happen that you just cannot plan for, and you just gotta react and do your best.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. That's one of the reasons I do really love running this game and playing this game so much, and the reason I'm able to play it, probably over 100 times at this point and not get bored of it, is because it's never, it's almost impossible for it to be the exact same, every time you play it. It can be pretty close, but yeah, like you said, there's always something that, goes wrong and goes weird, and you have to react to it. But here is, let's see if I can pull this off. All right.
That is one of my favorite skips, actually. I've tried to do it myself a couple of times, but it's so damn hard to just... Wow. Okay, that was close, but you've done it flawlessly. That was a good skip.
Thank you.
Basically, Troy is all about momentum, and momentum is usually very hard to gather with this game. So just seeing you swing around like that's impressive. And now we're coming up to one of my favorite / least favorite parts of the game, which is a simple brain puzzle, honestly. But turns out when you're playing a physics-based game, puzzles are more complicated than, normal puzzles, I guess.
Yeah, so what you're supposed to do here, for all of our audience watching, you're supposed to do kind of what I did there. Go grab those big chunks of metal with this magnet, and basically just like fill these acid pits and use them as kind of a bridge to get you across the acid pits. And we sort of do that, but instead of like climbing our way and making it like a puzzle game, we just throw ourselves over everything. And that concludes what Dennis was saying. This game is broken up into 4 parts. That concludes the first part of the game in just barely under 7 minutes. So we are kind of par for the course here. And now we are coming into the cave section, which you do.
That should be where you're going to start seeing some errors. If this is not a flawless run, it still could be.
Yes. So like I said before, the main thing that's going to get us a win and good times in this game is not dying. But yeah, as Dennis said, this is kind of the first section where we are a little bit in danger of possibly dying. Cave, at this point, maybe not so much for me, but definitely when we get to the canyon is where I start to get sweaty and a little bit nervous, and and things start to not go as easily and smoothly as they do most of the times.
I've seen the worms put on some work in ruining speedruns, to be fair.
Yes.
The canyon is more RNG, I feel like, which might be why they can be also run ender.
Yeah,
but,
definitely.
Yeah, cave still takes lives, I feel.
It certainly can, that's for sure. We hope it doesn't, but it certainly can. So we are getting pretty close, as long as I can get up this this crevice here in a decent amount of time. We are coming up shortly to the first of those other abominations Dennis was talking about earlier. You can start to hear him, she, they. I never know with the abominations. It's you can start to hear it in the background there if you listen very closely. It's singing, but that is Amadeus, which is what I consider like the first boss fight of the game. There aren't really boss fights per se, but they feel like it. So I always call them the boss fights. Do you have any comments about Amadeus before we reach them?
Amadeus is probably one of the most interesting scenes we've done in the game, I feel like. Really takes you out of your usual gameplay and changes everything up. That's basically what we were trying to do with all of those bosses, I guess. You know, just make sure that when you think you've learned how to play a game, something new shows up and kind of, you know, ruins whatever comfort you've found.
And that is definitely the case.
The music absolutely slaps.
The music does absolutely slap, and it does throughout the whole game, really. But there are definitely particular notable points where the music really goes hard and kind of you know really enhances and carries everything through to just this awesome big punch. But here is Amadeus, and like Dennis was saying. We get a different way to play. So all through the first, 10 minutes or so, however long it's been, usually about 10 minutes, so hopefully no more than that. The past 10 minutes or so, we have been directly controlling, Troy by, you know, using his arms and flinging him around everywhere and grabbing onto walls and such. But now we get this kind of like, I don't know, bastardized pinball is what I always like to think of it, where you can see I have to grab onto Troy's head, which is now, I don't want to say disembodied because he doesn't really have a body in the first place.
The body is still there.
Yeah, yeah, we have the body. So we've been dismembered and we're kind of throwing him all over the place, and we gotta kill all these like growths on Amadeus. We're quote unquote curing him, is as far as I understand it, right?
Yes, you're helping.
Yeah, we're helping. Even though at the end of the day, of course, you know, you and I know that Amadeus's fate isn't quite the best. Oh, of course.
Ooh.
Yeah, that'll happen. Yay physics game.
I mean, it's RNG, you know.
Yeah. Oh, okay,
you take the good, you take the bad.
We'll take the good right there. I don't always get a... okay.
Oh, that's nice.
Okay, there. It's not going horribly, just gotta get that last one. So normally the route for this is pretty set, but like Dennis said, it is a little bit RNG based, and so there are times where some of the launchers don't quite launch you as fast as they normally do, and sometimes you know, those eyes that you don't bounce off the eyes quite as much as you normally do, and so it can vary, you know, between 15 and 20 seconds usually in time, just because of the way that the physics and everything bounces and works. But what we get for defeating or curing Amadeus is our first Abomination God Blessing, or our first superpower, I guess, that we're going to see in the game. So up until now, our arms have been totally attached, of course, until we were throwing Troy's head body around everywhere to defeat Amadeus. But now we get the remote arms, which will allow us to detach the arms and attach them to various growths along the way. And so I don't know if you have any comments on how this came to be or anything.
I mean, you said it. It's a superpower. What a superpower it is. Controlling your arms as they are dismembered. It's one of those things where we just wanted to expand on the gameplay, and you know, the gameplay is straightforward enough as it is. So it was kind of really hard to figure out how we could make it different. But that was one of the things we figured out. Controlling your arms while they're detached from your body will give you plenty of possibilities for more fun gameplay. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, also it looks kind of really ridiculous. It's just like worms for arms and just crawling around, and it's kind of nasty. So.
Yes, I couldn't have said it better myself. It definitely looks ridiculous. But I gotta say, I think some of my favorite sections in the entire game come from just what you guys imagined with these remote arm sections. We got this, and then of course way later on, we're gonna get like the pre-alpha section, and so like all these different sections where we have to navigate one arm at a time and squeeze it in small places are definitely some of my favorite sections. So I love the remote arms power, and like you said, it just offers a totally new move set with only adding one really small change.
I do feel like we could have used the arms more during the game. I don't think there's like more than one instance in the whole canyon where you gotta use them. But for sure, they're one of my favorite additions to this sequence in particular with the worms are usually pretty dangerous. Thus far though, you're doing it flawlessly once again. Not trying to jinx you, just stating facts.
I tried not to let the worms get to me, although they do spook me every now and again.
This one in particular is, I feel like it's the most dangerous.
Especially the first time you play. Yeah, that one's definitely the hardest to get through because you're still just trying to know how to. Like, you're early enough in the game where we're still discovering how to actually move with our arms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cogwheels are another thing that we added to diversify the gameplay, and I do feel like they serve their purpose very well. I have seen countless people give up because of them.
Yeah, they
that was scary. Okay.
They're one of those sections that make me sweat and clench a little bit just to because
I don't feel like they're really dangerous. They're just, you just gotta keep moving. You can't stop.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things when you have to hurry up in this game, it's where you make mistakes.
Yeah, I totally agree. They're not particularly necessarily difficult to traverse as long as you're grabbing the right spot and taking your time. But of course, when we're speedrunning the game, taking our time is the last thing we want to do. So there have been plenty of moments that I have been crushed by some of the cogs, the mechanical bone crushers. The good thing for me, anyway, is with those the cogs. So for those of you that haven't seen the game before, in a little bit we're going to get to some section where we have to actually break cogs in order to pass by them. Because they're blocking our way, and we do that with rocks or whatever other objects we have on hand. The good thing is that their hitboxes or whatever triggers them to break is always active, even if the gear is not actually moving, which you would think it would need to be moving for. And so we're going to exploit that here in about 30 seconds or so.
The cogs are a weird mix of physics and animation. They're not really that easy to figure out, honestly. Fun fact: the rocks themselves, we figured we'd be using them when we first wrecked the physics system with the cogs themselves. So some fun things can be accomplished. Oh, right, this.
Yeah, so this is one part where, if you haven't seen the game before, you probably didn't see the cogs that I just destroyed, but there were cogs over to the right that I used a rock to break. But what I'm doing here is I'm grabbing a second rock because what you're supposed to do is you can see the cogs right there to the bottom right of the screen. You're supposed to go all the way around and do all this fun stuff to eventually activate this button to bring you another rock. We do it.
Oh
no!
Don't push it in.
Okay. Yes, you can push that in. Thanks for the support there, because I have gotten it stuck down there and then I have to go the intended way, and it's a mess. But luckily, like I said, the hitboxes are still active, and so I can just drop a rock right in between those gears and they're not spinning, and we break them. And you can see when I pass by that hole that the rock almost went down, you can see those 2 pressure plates down there. You're supposed to do another one of those fancy separate arms and get them onto the pressure plates, and then that activates all that good stuff. And it's kind of like a puzzle. Like Dennis said earlier, it's a little bit. The game is a little bit puzzly, a lot platformy, and all the time strange and weird and awesome. So we just find.
Do we have?
Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh.
No, go for it.
I was gonna say, we did get a 20-pound donation from Anonymous, saying, "Gotta give a bit to show our appreciation for the dev commentary."
We do
once
love
again
dev commentary.
Yes, we do. Once again, this marathon is benefiting Haven House. Haven House offers a range of support to meet the well-being needs of individuals and families. This includes social opportunities for families to come together and meet others, for example, at sibling activity days and coffee morning. Haven House also offers a 24-hour advice line, emotional and practical support, dad's group meetups, family days, and bereavement support. Once again, see if we can maybe hit that 3,400 by the end of the event. We only have a few more runs left. But yeah.
All
right, should I pause it?
Yeah, if you don't mind.
Okay.
It's weird because I can see everything's fine on the server. So in that case, it's the oh, we're back.
Okay, I will keep going.
I have no idea what just happened about that. I think it must have been an issue with the actual laptop that's outputting to Twitch. So if we're back on.
Okay. And that seems about right for the time too, so I don't think anything as far as what was going on real time.
Good.
Yeah, we're good. About 22 minutes to finish on the cave. But anyway, you want to? I don't know if you want to talk about the Rat King. People kind of missed out on that.
Yeah, the Rat King is actually a character that was introduced in one of the secret sections of the cave, which you skipped, obviously. But yeah, you get to steal his crown and run back while everything is rats all around you.
Yeah, so that just kind of lets us end the second of the 4 sections, and so now we get to what has, for many of us in the in the chasing rats and struggling community, kind of become, especially in speedruns, a little bit of an infamous section, which is this canyon section, and that's for a few different reasons, but the biggest one is that later on we're going to perform one of the biggest time save skips, not one of, it is the biggest time save skip in the game, which we are sad about because it's hilarious and has fantastic writing and everything, but it skipping it sure beats button mashing for 4.5 minutes.
That's for sure.
I believe that I when I first discovered it, of course, I made a video of it to show everybody what it was, and I believe it is still a GIF that is often used in the Discord.
It is. I see it used plenty.
Yes.
And for sure, the skip was not intended. But as we've said before, we do not intend on ever fixing it. It's not game breaking or anything. It's just a fun little if you know, you know, and it's great.
Yes, and I was speaking with we were speaking earlier, and you know, you mentioned that you've tried it yourself a few times, and I think it's hard enough where you don't really need to patch it anyway.
Yeah.
But anyway, we'll get to that. We'll get there when we get there. Until then, you know, the new thing, we had the cogs in the cave, and so now not really the new thing, because we've had them a little bit in the cave, but we get a lot of these sticks and a lot of these signs here, and they are really helpful for getting where you need to go quickly, but really hurtful for not being consistent every time you use them. Don't roll off. Woo! Okay, that was close. So we're going to try to use the signs to our advantage rather than disadvantage. I tried to do a skip there. If you can get on the ceiling there, you can actually kind of basically not have to watch that cut, or not really have to wait for that hiker to get back up after the cutscene, which saves a few seconds. Nothing crazy, but if you don't get it, it's also not the end of the world. I remember the first time I played. Ooh, that was close. Ooh, okay.
Oh, wow.
That was a close shave. All right. I was about to say, I remember the first time I played that that particular section with the rope. It took me about 45 minutes just to get through it. Of course, we can get through it now in about 15 seconds. This game is not, despite what it may look like, I hope, this game is not easy. Especially the first time you play it, and even to this day, there are still times where I feel like I don't have as good of a handle on it as one possibly could. So yeah, it just is a testament to games like this that are you know, in that kind of like Super Meat Boy category, where it's, you know, just a very hard platformer, but you just can't get enough of it. This is one of those. This is what I'm doing right here is one of those sections that I mentioned earlier that was an intended secret, but actually ends up being an even more helpful skip over a tough section for us. So below us, right? Oh, cool. So
wow.
Yeah, that was that was nice. So what we just flew over was this really, really, really tough section of basically those bouncy sticks and cacti. And so by taking that secret and using the geyser, we just blow right over it. We don't, of course, get the hat. Oh, boo. Sometimes.
There goes the flawless run.
There goes the flawless run. I still do not have. Oh gosh. Okay, that was just me being. That was
And
just.
here we go.
Yep, and this is where this is where the donations start to come in. So if you're planning on doing something per death, you know, get your pocketbook out and your checkbook out now.
I do feel like that's the thing with struggling. Once you start slipping, it just doesn't stop.
Yeah.
I've died at the worms like 15 times in a row, just knowing, yeah, this worm is gonna kill me every time. Why am I doing it like this? And making the same mistake every single time. I feel like there's like this part of your brain that just logs off once you start dying.
Yeah.
More than once.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so that next part is one of my favorite ones.
Me too.
If you've ever played the game before it was completed, this was at the end of one of our demos. It's one of the first scenes, actually one of the first funky scenes I guess we've done the whole game. So you get to ride this motocross while a plane is crashing behind you. And, you know, it's a good shout out to all those games with physics with bikes. Oh no!
Oh no! Oh no! Come on, fix it.
I do
There we
believe
go.
you can.
We're good. Okay. Whew.
One game in particular was Elastomania. I don't know if you ever heard about it.
I don't know that one.
Basically, it's just physics-based game with a dirt bike like this one, where your wheels can get stuck in platforms and you use them to spin around. But yeah, this whole sequence is one of my favorites in the whole game.
It's also one of my favorites for that reason, but also another moment in the game where the music just really shines. I know we only got to hear like a minute of the song. It goes on a lot longer if you let it. And
talking about songs, you were in the water just then.
Oh yes,
there is a water theme that we have, which is basically a 7 minutes long song that only plays while you're in water. Fun fact: there's these pools of water, and then there is no other water in the whole game. So basically, you have like 3 or 4 opportunities to hear this song. Most people will spend about 30 seconds in water. If you want to listen to the whole song, it's about 7 minutes, and it goes in a lot of directions. Starts off sounding like Mario 64.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember the level itself, but one of those with water, and then it just goes off and starts sounding like Persona 5. It's a whole trip.
It's certainly interesting. I of course have listened to the whole thing because what else am I going to do when I play this after so many hours? So I'm going to go for a skip that I don't actually normally do, but because Dennis is here and because I've already died twice, I feel like it's going to be worth it. So and if I can get it, it'll save me about 5 seconds or so, not a whole lot. But if I don't get it, it's going to lose me about as long as it's going to take me to climb back up here. But I did practice it just a little bit. So what I'm going to do is fly here. Oh no!
Oh, that was so close. Yeah,
almost could have saved it. Yeah, I can't save that. So I'm not going to go for it again. But you can just launch off that zip line and get to the next checkpoint area without having to go. There's a second zip line, which, well, we're going to see it because now I'm going to do the normal intended way. But I figured I'd show off something a little at least fun, even if I failed.
The zip lines have a lot of potential for skips, I feel like, but they're really dangerous.
They are. So you're intended to do this, and if I would have done it correctly, I would have landed about here. Which again only saves about 5-6 seconds or so, but it's fun. It's a lot more visually interesting. So we are coming up on the biggest skip in the game, which I just call Agamemnus skip. Some people call it dating simulator skip, or whatever you want to call it. Regardless of what you call it, it is certainly interesting, and it skips as you can probably imagine from what we have said and what I've just kind of named it to, a section of the game that is a dating simulator, if you can imagine that as part of this game. So, Dennis, while I'm kind of prepping for this and doing it, do you want to explain how you got a dating simulator into this game? Oh.
Yeah, so about the dating sim, it was intended as a joke at first, of course, but as game devs, sometimes you push a joke a bit too far, and you end up with the thing being in your game. The thing being a dating simulator with an abomination, and yeah, it's as much of a mess as you might think it is. You basically get to date these 3 other heads. And it's a whole thing. You're pulled out completely of the normal struggling gameplay, and you get to date with both of your own heads at once. It for sure is a trip.
It is a trip, and if I was playing it casually, certainly another one of my favorite parts of the game. But of course, anything we can do to, like I mentioned earlier, skip 4 minutes of just button mashing, because that's what it turns into in a speedrun, is you just basically mash A, just answering their questions and not really caring who you date. But I discovered that we can just climb up this encounter plane, and it eventually ends, and we'll just toss right over it, and skip totally over it. So good, yeah, we got that first try too, which is it's always a big help. So yeah, normally you run into the hand, and you may have seen, those of you who are, those of you who are a little bit more perceptive, you may have seen the 3 heads of what's called Agamemnus, which is why I call it Agamemnus Skip, in the background as I got to the top there. And that's who we would normally date. You can tell that this breaks the game and is not intended, because if you're listening closely, you don't even really have to listen closely. If you're listening at all, we get this persistent loop of like 3 seconds of crazy music. That's like the approaching sound to Agamemnus. But the game still thinks, I guess the game still thinks we're approaching Agamemnus. I'm not really sure why exactly the music still goes. I guess just because we never encountered it, and so we never, kind of got the hey, stop playing the music cue. So
basically, yes.
Yeah, so this music is gonna keep going over all of the other sounds that would normally be going anyway, until we get to the end of the section. One other huge thing, besides skipping 4 minutes of what would be otherwise what we would do, what we also do is we skip getting the second Abomination God Blessing and the second essentially superpower of the game, which makes life a lot harder for most of the rest of the run. Definitely the rest of Canyon. Dennis, do you want to explain the other power that we would have gotten, and how we have made it harder on ourselves by not getting it?
Yeah, so basically, you get the time slow power, which slows time, obviously. But it's mainly used to deal with projectiles in this section. When you use the time slow, everything goes slowly, of course, but you have more control over your arms, and you can actually grab the arrows that you see flying at you. The spears can be grabbed with or without time slow, but they're definitely easier to catch while everything is going in slow motion. As for the spiky balls, they just go way slower when the time slow is on, and you still maintain some momentum. You basically go faster while using time slow. So yeah, everything is harder since you don't have that power. This part in particular is, wow, that was clutch. Is borderline impossible without the time slow, I feel like. But once again, I am not a speedrunner, so prove me wrong as much as you want.
Woo! Okay.
Oh.
The good thing is the second
didn't die.
Yeah, the second set is a lot harder to die. The first set of these. Okay, well, harder, but not impossible, of course. I spoke too soon. This first set of these spears is a lot easier to die from, just because you don't have that safety net of all the space below, and you don't have the button, so the vertical spear is constantly shooting no matter what. At least this one you can control when the spear goes. But alright, there we go. So yeah, as Dennis said, you can imagine how much easier this whole section would be with the time slow power, because you do have a lot more control over what you can do, and of course you have a little bit more time to plan. That section is actually really easy if you can time it, which thank goodness we got it the first time.
That was pretty good.
Yeah, that was solid. That one's not hard to do without time slow. It's just you have to know when to push the button. There's a visual cue with those spike balls. If you push it at the right time and you are able to grab onto the spear, you fly right up without any issue. Now, this part coming up right here is without a doubt, absolutely, no questions asked, the hardest part of the run, and only because we don't have time slow. If we had time slow, this would probably be one of the easiest parts of the run. But basically what I have to do here, you may have noticed throughout the run that when I lose an arm, it will eventually regenerate. But it takes a little bit of time. Now, I also have the opportunity and the ability to regenerate my arms on my own, which is a lot quicker. So what I have to do to get over that arrow is toss myself over the arrow and regenerate my arms on my own, because if I let the arrow just pass by right through my arms, it's possible to not die from the arrow, but your arms take just the right amount of time to regenerate that you can only really have enough time to set back up to avoid dying from the arrow rather than actually making forward progress. So I have to do a very difficult combination of getting arms close enough to get high enough to jump over the arrow, while at the same time regenerating arms so that I can actually make forward progress versus just not dying. One of the, and kind of going off of that, one of the things that I had to figure out when I did discover Agamemnus Skip was right when I did it, I was like, sweet, I just saved 4.5 minutes. And then not too long after that, I was like, oh shoot, can I beat the rest of the game without the time slow, the time alteration power? Obviously, the answer, we all know the answer is yes, otherwise I wouldn't have done it right now. But it was certainly a slightly stressful moment. So this section is looks a lot more difficult than it is, because there's a lot going on, but really all we need to do as far as a speedrun goes, or I guess even a casual playthrough, is just kind of sit right here on this section of this falling platform, and most things are just gonna pass right by us. As Dennis mentioned earlier, we can grab the arrows out of the way and just kind of throw them and not get hit by them, or we can just sit here. So I don't know if you have anything else to say, or if Hammerhead, if you have anything to say about the game or anything else, but we got about 1.5 minutes of just kind of falling platform time now.
All right, well, we did get a donation. We did get a £5 donation from Tigduan, the runner from the last game that we saw. And he said £5 for Sparky saying GIF as GIF.
Yes, the big debate. Well, that was unfortunate. Usually that arrow goes right over our head, but we got hit by it, so we're having some not the best time living. Which is fine, because that means more money for the kids. But not fine, because we die more. So, Dennis, I don't know if you have 2 minutes of something to say about either this section or any other section of the game that's coming up, because we are coming up on the last of the 4 sections.
Yeah, so, about this section, really disappointed that all you have to do is sit there. Honestly, we did not click this enough, but it's fine. It's still good. Otherwise, there's also the buzz level that's coming up. I cannot just put it in words how much I love this part, because the design of that zone was basically, what ideas do we have? How do we make them happen? It's just a psychedelic buzz trip, and we can do whatever we want. So what do we want to do? So everyone pitched in ideas. I want to make a Spider-Man kind of game with struggling. Yeah, sure, we'll have friendly neighborhood flesh monster part. And then we thought about what if one of those parts was just a big dunk over a team of ducks, and we made it happen somehow. And so we basically just unleashed whatever brain cells we had left at this point, and we ended up with this beautiful fever dream of the last level.
And it works so well is the best part. because it's so kind of weird and a little bit messed up, and you just explain it away as Troy just kind of essentially being on drugs for the last 15 minutes or last quarter of the game, it just works so beautifully, and like you almost don't even really think about how weird it is. Because up to this point, you've encountered so much weird stuff anyway, like the dating simulator. So I love that. I didn't know that you guys just kind of threw out whatever you wanted to do. That almost makes it even better.
There are some things that didn't make it in, of course. One of them being Troy playing the drums, but Troy has ghost legs. Don't ask me to elaborate. I won't. And then there was a parachute dive in which you had, I think, guns, and you had to shoot things out of the sky. Yeah, a couple of ideas didn't make it in.
That, and all of them sound incredible.
I don't know if incredible is the word I'd use.
Well,
but they're definitely interesting.
Yes, I should say interesting. Yeah, they definitely sound interesting, and I feel like they would fit. But I almost feel like anything would fit at this point. But yeah, this last section is like Dennis said, is just a kind of a conglomeration of a bunch of different things going on. It's mostly the same as far as gameplay wise goes. We're still just physics platforming. We're still oh no.
Oh wow.
Oh, yeah, that sends us back. That sends us back a little far. That is one of the bad parts, is those mushrooms can be a little finicky. But it is a lot of the same, as far as gameplay wise goes. It's just our objective in each section changes a little bit, and so it feels very different. But I mean, like, this section is kind of like just like our swimming in the water that we had before, and the geysers are going, and we're still trying to avoid dying from cacti and all this good stuff. So the basic premise of the game, still stands. It's just what's surrounding us is much different. And let's see if we don't die. Oh gosh, we're getting some.
Should be fine.
Yeah, we're good. Okay. That's the beauty of running this game. Like I said, it's never the same twice. Sometimes you lose your arms when you don't think you're going to. We're not going to get this checkpoint. Definitely.
It's a good one. I don't know what you're talking about. You should have gotten that checkpoint.
Oh yeah, you're right. I probably should have. Anybody playing this game should definitely get every checkpoint. You will want them, especially that one.
Of course.
So we are finally going to be able to use the time alteration power, because what we do get is the ability to use it now that we've completed. We've completed the canyon section. We, for whatever reason, are granted the power. That whole falling platform section, of course, we had the slow-mo power, but I was never activating it. It just automatically activates. But now we get to use it, the 2 and only 2 times in the game that we are going to activate it ourselves. So the first time is because we kind of need it to grab onto that spear, more or less, just because we're floating in this pink goo. And that time was just to not die, really. I guess we don't really ever need to use it, but those are the only 2 times that I will use the time alteration. And here is the big dunk on ducks that Dennis was talking about. The shortest mini section in the run, because we know the path that we can take to just zoom right up to the top and just fly through everything and take a win for the home team. The away, I guess we're the away team, aren't we?
Yeah, you're the.
Yeah, we're the away team,
definitely.
So we get our only points. Yeah, we're definitely the away team. So that was the big basketball dunk, and now we get to the friendly neighborhood flesh monster, which is probably the first time where things, I feel like, at least for me personally, they change quite a bit, because normally we've been grabbing onto like surfaces, and now we can just almost grab onto anything, and it makes the gameplay feel quite a bit different to me anyway, because you almost have to. You don't really have to think about where you're grabbing, but you kind of do in a way.
It definitely changes things up. I feel like it really just goes far from your usual struggling gameplay, even though it's the same controls.
Yeah, you're almost like I almost think of it in a way of like you're paralyzed by choice. Like now that you can grab on everywhere, where's the right place to grab onto? Because up till this point, it's been pretty well laid out where you should go and how you should get there and what power if you need to use to get there. But now it's like, okay, I need to get from point A to point B, and there's literally infinite possibilities to do that. Except for obviously we do have the those sections where we have to use the arm rope. There are a few defined sections, but yeah, we're almost like paralyzed by choice. And then once we get done with this section, which all goes according to plan, should be a few seconds here. We are going to get to what Dennis was telling me was one of his favorite sections, and I'm going to disappoint him greatly by performing another skip to go over that. Dennis, you want to explain what we would get in this section and how I absolutely break your heart in this section, and I apologize for?
So, yeah, basically what happens in this scene is you get to hear Troy make a speech. If you've noticed, the voice lines have been replaced with text-to-speech since the start of this level. So when you get there, you basically are still tripping, of course, and you get to hear Troy talk about his woes as an imaginary creature living only for entertainment and suffering constantly. It's a bit meta, let's say. Actually, it's absolutely meta. But it's one of my favorite pieces in the whole game. It's just some good speech. Yeah.
It's a very good speech. Yeah, you're supposed to get on that box, like a literal soapbox almost, and give a speech. But of course, as we speedrunners do, I said, is there any way for me to skip this? Because it is an unskippable scene once it's activated. So I was like, is there any way for me to skip this minute and 15 or so second speech? Because it's wasting my time in a speedrun. Obviously, in a casual run, it's highly entertaining. And so I played around with it. I was going everywhere, and I discovered that there is a very, very, very tiny gap above the door that you saw me slip through. It just so happens to be just barely big enough to fit Troy's head through. And so we can just slip through that crack, and of course the encounter plane or whatever's behind that door is always active. It's just that the door is usually not open. And so we can just sneak right by and get on to the next section here, which is one of my favorite sections. I really love this section, this pre-alpha section, for many reasons. I love the art style, and I love the gameplay of it. Oh my gosh, okay. There we go. Okay. So I'm only going to pull one of these pencils down because I'm going to perform another slightly out of bounds skip. It's not, I never feel like this one's really out of bounds because we're just on top of everything. And I never, you know what, I never did do my regular spiel of kind of being internally conflicted about the category name of this run being glitchless. Because I think I've talked about it with some of the other runners, and a little bit with you guys too, you developers, and we never came to the final consensus that Agamemnus skip or that speech skip was actually a glitch, or if it was just me kind of abusing some oversights. I'm not really sure if there is a fine line, what it is.
I mean, I'd say it's just abusing an oversight. I don't think it's what I'd call a glitch at the very least. It's more like the devs sucked, so therefore you get to take advantage of it. Yeah, that's my take on it. I wouldn't say it's a glitch.
Yeah, so that's why my normal spiel in this game. Usually when I do Agamemnus skip, I will tell the people, which I'm sorry, people, that I forgot to tell you guys this time. I will usually tell you that personally, I might call it a glitch, but as you just heard Dennis explain, and he made the game. If he doesn't say it's a glitch, we'll keep it in the glitchless category. So no glitches here. So when I went over the top and kind of out of bounds, nothing's a glitch in this game until we maybe finally do encounter one that's repeatable. But we're coming up to the kind of grand finale here of the game. This is the last big section that's going on, and the last time I was on this marathon, actually, here with everybody at FTLG, we encountered one of the weirdest things ever that I have never encountered before. And Dennis, I think you said that you had never seen it before, but do you want to explain kind of what's going on with this Shadow of the Duck Lossus as you explain it, and then maybe a little bit of what happened if you remember last time?
I don't quite remember the bug. Was it with the tongue breaking and you basically flew off or something?
Yeah, I think it was like I pushed in some spears, but then I died, but then the spears were still active, but I couldn't push them in, or I don't really know exactly what was going on with it.
Well, basically, this whole encounter was just a nightmare to pull off. Never ever do huge physics-based assets. It's a curse. You will hate yourself forever. But yeah, this is the final encounter of the game. It's basically a huge duck that you have to fight, a la Shadow of the Colossus, of course. One of the things we wanted to do was a gigantic monster battle, and that's what we figured would fit the best. Not an abomination, just a duck. Now, if you want to ask me why, I'm just going to say, why not?
Sometimes that's the best explanation that you can get in something like this.
Definitely. But yeah, this encounter has caused me pain. I've watched a lot of people playing the game, and I've seen people give up on that last encounter, and it hurts my soul. It hurts me at my very core. Maybe we made it just a bit too hard, or a bit too unpredictable. Just like whatever is going on here.
Yes, this is definitely a section that can be unpredictable and unforgiving too. And of course, if you die in this section, you're sent back to the very beginning of the encounter. So that can be a bit of a heartbreaker too when you've gotten so far. Luckily, I don't think we're gonna die at this point. We don't really have.
I'm not gonna say anything. I'm just gonna wait to see the end because that bird is dangerous.
It certainly is. Okay, I think got it. We just gotta push this last spear in, and we're good. All right, cool.
There we go.
So of course we beat the duck. The duck is gonna eat us and send us to Morpheus, who kind of. In the story world, or in this weird buzz world, is kind of like the one controlling everything that's going on. So we're gonna have time in about 45 seconds if all goes well. So our goal is to tear down Morpheus from whatever strings or guts he's attached to, and there's an acid pit to the right. So when this Morpheus here lands in the acid pit, that is time. Just Hammerhead for you, and a heads up. I'll try to get you on it too. But what you're supposed to do is tear him all the way down. He will spawn those like red mouth things, and then you attach your arms to those and walk him up, kind of like you're controlling Troy in any other normal circumstance. But what's a lot more fun to do, okay, well, I guess we'll do it the intended way. What you can do, which is a lot more fun, is to... okay, let's see if we can do this the intended way. I don't usually do it the intended way. Is pull him down, and then... Okay, let's see. Quit giving me trouble here. Is pull him down, and then... throw him in by just kind of still holding on to him. Oh, yeah, I forgot how unwieldy his head is. Okay, here we go.
And
so,
there we go.
and time is right there. Oh, that's why we don't do it the intended way, is because the head is a lot bigger than Troy's and a lot heavier than Troy's and a lot more difficult to control the normal way. So normally what we would do is we'd pull it down to a certain point, and then grab onto the side and still be holding onto the head and just toss it right around in the speedrun world. But that's essentially that's struggling in a nutshell. I don't know, Dennis, do you have anything? Because what I like to do is I usually like to, the credits aren't too long. We'll get a death count at the end if anybody wants to do a pound or $1 or whatever your denomination is, or 50 cents or whatever per death. We'll get that death count at the end. We'll get a little post-credit scene too. So Dennis, I don't know if you have anything to say about the game or the speed run or anything else that you all are doing and whatnot. But I'll give it to you, and then I'll whenever you're done, I'll say what I need to.
Yeah, of course. So just to wrap things up, Struggling was Chasing Rats Game's first game. We're currently working on a new game called Worship, which is completely different. But this game, Struggling, will forever be one of my favorite creations. It's a labor of love. It's full of weird stuff, and we have like a very, very dedicated community on our Discord channel. If you ever want to hit us up, come check it out. We're very active. We answer questions and stuff, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I gotta second that. This this game is gonna always hold a special place in my heart. I got started speedrunning with, believe it or not, virtual reality mini golf, but that was more so just short bursts at a time. So this is definitely the first serious speedrunning that I've done and really dissected and kind of actually torn apart a little bit, doing some glitches and whatnot. So of course this game is going to hold a sort of special place in my heart, just because of that, but also because it's a very fun game. I mentioned, when we were skipping it, the dating simulator, Agamemnus skip, the speech and all that. It's really, really great stuff. The writing is really entertaining and pretty funny. And I hope you guys will casually check it out, or casually into speedrunning it, check it out. Because it's absolutely worth your time, however long that first run through takes you, whether it's 6 hours or 12 hours, because it will take you quite a bit of time. But yeah, as Dennis said, the Discord is always bumping. The speedrun for our struggling, the speedrunning Discord is kind of a subset of the Chasing Rats umbrella, and so you do get to see that good community. Obviously, the developers are incredibly supportive of us absolutely tearing apart their game and seeing what we can do with it. There you are, Dennis, a dating sim specialist. Oh yeah, I forgot you voiced the hikers too. But the developers are incredibly supportive. The community at large is really supportive of the speedrunning. I mentioned before that the first video I made of Agamemnus skip that turned into a GIF, or a GIF. Sorry for those of you. Is still makes its rounds in the chat every now and again. But yeah, thank you, Dennis, for joining us, and I'm glad everybody came out to witness this, because yeah, like we said, this holds a special place in our heart. So now, of course, you get the good post-credits scene of no party allowed, because of course Troy was only able to escape because there was a party being thrown. So now no parties allowed. We have, of course, the defeated duck there in the background. And of course our friend Troy, or Hector and Achilles, back where they started at the very beginning. Yeah, for me anyway, before we get the death count, of course you can find me everywhere, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, blah blah blah, Sparky McCalc 1. You type that in anywhere, I'm the one. And so Dennis, do you want to let people know where they can find you, and then while I pull up this death count?
Yeah, Chasing Rats Games is on Twitter, Discord, Facebook. We have a small Instagram. Don't bother, it's not really up to date yet. But yeah, just Google us, Chasing Rats Games, and you'll find us.
Cool. So there you have it, everybody. They're struggling. We got 7 deaths. So if you want to do however many per death, we have 7 deaths for you. But thank you to FTLG for the great marathon, and of course the great charity where all the money goes towards. I'll leave it back to you, Hammerhead. And thanks for having both me and Dennis on. It was a great time as always.
Yeah, thank you. Once again, GG's. It was a very, very entertaining run. I fully invested like every second of it. Always love having devs interested in speedrunning and supporting. So appreciate you coming out here, Dennis, and giving your insight on the game and everything. But yeah, that should do it for us. And we hopefully get on going to our next run. And this is the end of my shift as well. So I think we have 3 games left in the marathon.
I think so, yeah. We're in the
Get
home
that
stretch.
That is correct. So I want to thank you personally for submitting again at FTLG. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you here. Been awesome also having the dev join us. What an entertaining run that was. So big up to Sparky for that and the dev for joining. Up next, we have Phantom 5800 playing The Dog Island any % on the Nintendo Wii. So stay tuned, guys, and we will be right back.